Okay, here I am once again. This is D-Man, and it's my opinion. And I'm going to tell you something. We keep trying to get away from this subject, but we're going to do part 2 on the Green Bay Packers and this Brett Favre situation. Now, I've gotten a lot of emails from you guys out there watching these segments, and you're saying, Dimitri, you're hot. Okay, I like it. I appreciate it. Keep it coming. Now, listen, you can also take a look at, a lot of you guys are rating it, but leave me some messages on the site itself instead of emailing me at my personal email address, but that's okay. Either way you get it to me, it's all love, right? Anyways, let's get up right off to the subject. Let's talk about Brett Favre. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Let's talk about what's going on. I'm going to tell you something right now. For all you people out there that are saying that these NFL players are overpaid and they have contracts already and they don't have the right to renegotiate. You have Grant going on in Green Bay, and then you had Devin Hester in Chicago playing with the Bears. Let's sum this up and let's stop the madness right now. Do you understand that the Chicago Bears signed Devin Hester for $30 million? They gave him a $30 million paycheck, okay? Contract, I should say, to play football. 15 of it guaranteed. 15 of it guaranteed. 30 million, 15 guaranteed to play. The Green Bay Packers just flew down to Mississippi and offered Brett Favre $20 million not to play. $20 million not to play. So I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're sitting there and you're on that boat that says these NFL players, they signed a contract and they should have to adhere to it. Guess what? The NFL owners aren't adhering to their contracts they're signing with these players. Half of these players are not even playing with a guaranteed contract. I bet you if you look that up and understand this, let's start talking about these owners. Do you understand that these owners have made so much money that they can now pay players not to play? Not to play. And these players only have a short period of time in order to get their money. So Grant in Green Bay, yeah, granted he only had one great season, half a season, but the bottom line is, you know and I know that the running back on that team is Grant. And you know and I know that the running back on that team that's going to show out is Grant. Okay? So Grant is the running back, the starting running back of that team. And he deserves to be paid. He only has 3.5 years to make his money. All the money he can make. And guess what? It's one hit. Just one hit may end your career. Ask that gentleman from Buffalo. He'll tell you all about it. One hit could end your career. So you have one shot to make the money that you can make. You deserve the opportunity to make all the money you can make, because for doggone sure, those owners are making all the money that they can make. Okay? So let's start there. Now let's talk about Green Bay. Let's talk about Brett Favre. This is crazy, folks. This is crazy. Now, you know that I already said that it doesn't make any sense to me for the Packers to be holding themselves hostage. They're doing it to themselves. As a matter of fact, they're killing themselves. Because if they would have handled this situation in a professional manner and treated Brett Favre like the Hall of Fame quarterback that he was, then the bottom line is they could have probably got so much more for Brett Favre than what they're going to end up getting from Minnesota or Chicago now. Had they brought Brett Favre back and said, hey, listen, Brett, glad you're back. We were one pass away of going to the Super Bowl. So this is what we're going to do. When are you coming back? When are you planning on sending your letter in to Commissioner Goodell and saying that you're ready to come back and be reinstated? Because guess what, folks? Green Bay showed their hand before Brett Favre even played his cards. Now, anybody that play pokers know that you don't need to show your hand until you have to. And sometimes you don't even have to win. So why did Green Bay show their hand? Brett Favre never even said, I'm coming back. Here's my papers. Please, Mr. Goodell, reinstate me. I want to go back. Before Green Bay started saying, we don't want you back, you can't play, we got Aaron Rodgers, you're going to hold a clipboard, they destroyed and diminished diminish the value of their own player that they knew that they were going to have to trade anyways, or they were going to have to keep. There was no reason for it. And then they put their tails between their legs, flew down to Mississippi, and said, listen, we'll give you $20 million if you don't come back. Shame on you. You had Chicago, you had Green Bay sitting there. They both need a quarterback. Why didn't you build Brett Favre up? Why didn't you say, Brett Favre, we need you back. We want you back. Come on back. Hey folks, Brett Favre is coming back. And then you could have slowly let Brett Favre and his agent go out and work a deal between Chicago, between Minnesota, and everybody could have had a win-win situation. And you could have spun it any way you want to spin it. Listen, I'm not in the business. I don't have a degree in marketing. But I can tell you this, I'd have brought Brett Favre back. I'd have brought him back and I would have spoke him up. I would have said everything the right way. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He deserves another shot. The guy wants to come back. He feels he can still play. He's a valuable piece of this team. We need him. We need him. We need him. And then I would have went and talked to Brett Favre and said, Brett, I know you want an opportunity. Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback. This is what we're going to do because we want to respect you. We want to respect the Green Bay Packers fans. This is how we're going to get it done. Okay? You can go find the team, find the deal. This is what we need in return. We need 2 number ones. I need a number 1 or a number 2. Whatever it is that the Green Bay Packers wanted, they could have told Brett Favre and his agent that, sent them on the road, worked out their own deal, and then they could have spun it this way. Well, Packers, here's what happened, Packer fans. Brett Favre comes in and says, hey, listen, Aaron Rodgers looks good. Aaron Rodgers looks good. And I'll tell you something, he worked hard this offseason. He looks a lot better than he did last year. I think it's his team. I think it's time for him to take a shot. So it's time for me to move on. So this is what I did. I asked the Packers for an opportunity to go play someplace else, and I worked out a deal with the Minnesota Vikings, and they're trading me to the Minnesota Vikings. I commend Green Bay for giving me the opportunity, first of all, to come in and work out a deal, or come in with an opportunity to start. But I'm going to tell you something. Aaron Rodgers looks good. So now you got Packers fans listening to the great Brett Favre tell them how good Aaron Rodgers looks. So everybody's happy. Brett Favre gets what he wants. The Packer fans are happy to have Aaron Rodgers. They get to throw a big parade for Brett Favre. Now, are they a little upset he's going to Minnesota? Yeah, but they all like him because Brett Favre was the one that realized that Aaron Rodgers looked good. So he was the one that wanted to take himself out of the mix and move aside so Aaron Rodgers could play. Wow, what a teammate. What a guy. But instead, they bashed him, and Brett Favre felt like he had to fight back, so he's bashing, they're diminishing the value of Brett Favre, and now they get nothing in return. In my opinion, as a businessman, in any business, and you're in the business of selling, you can't diminish your own product and then try to trade it, because you're never going to get the value you could have gotten. And guess what, Green Bay? When you look back at this, you had an opportunity to have 2 teams, the Chicago Bears, and you could have added the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings in the mix to fight for Brett Favre. And what kind of draft picks could you have gotten? Had you just humbled yourself, treated him with a little bit of respect that he deserves, and gave him the opportunity to leave with the dignity and respect that he came there with. No matter what he was doing, let him act out. If you felt like he was acting out like a child, guess what? Then you treat it as such. There was no reason for you to step out and play your hand before he played his. He never played his hand. He never played his hand, and you had already blew the situation out of proportion. And now you're not going to get the value that you could have gotten. And in my opinion, you lose as an organization. Brett Favre loses because, you know, people are just going to look at him a little differently now, no matter how you slice it. And also, so does the Packers fan. And in my opinion, that's what it's all about.